Welcome back to the Charlotte Regional Championships here on Battle Factory. My name is Adam Doricott, joined of course by Zach Elliott, and we're trucking on with Swiss, only a little bit more to go. Those players still vying of course for the top 8 spots.
Yep, that's right, yep. We pulled 3 more rounds to go. We've got one new player that we haven't streamed at least yet, a name that people probably will recognize in Peter Kica, playing patented, tried and true Kica Bulu, the Vikavolt Tapu Bulu GX deck. Something we haven't seen on the stream yet this entire tournament. He's playing against Bob Zhang. We had Bob Zhang here before on day 1 playing the Zora Gliscopod deck. And the matchup here, not as straightforward as someone might expect.
No, I mean, I actually think it's surprisingly level, and whoever gets a better and kind of quicker start, really, really good. If Peter gets obviously the early Tapu Bulu, manual Tetragrass Energy, turn 2, alright, I've got Vikavolt, strong charge, that's
right. Attach Choice Band, just go. do turn it 210 damage, and it just knocks out both of those stage 1 Pokemon on the Zoropod side. But Bob has tacked a couple cards here that is going to make the matchup a little interesting. We've got the 1 Counter Energy, the 1 Sudowoodo in his deck. This is something that players started picking up on recently, and Bob has decided to go with it here. That's going to allow him to copy the Nature's Judgment attack from a Tapu Bulu for just 1 energy attachment. If he discards that Counter Energy, it'll do 180 damage, and that's a quick way to steal a knockout off of a Tapu Bulu for just 1 prize attacker.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to those lists we saw where it's like Mew and double colorless. You just go in and grab that, quickly set it up, and swing the momentum in your favor that way.
All right, well, both players are starting to get into the game. We'll go in and transition, as it looks like Bob is going first. As he opens with the Tapu Koko in the active, certainly a great starter with that free retreat. He's going to Ultra Ball, go and get, imagine it's going to be Bridget. Well, I guess it'll be Tapu Lele for Bridget.
Yeah, you've got to go through the motions. You can't just skip them all out. Does discard the Guzma as well, so clearly not too worried about that. Here we go. See Tapu Lele on the front of the deck.
Yep.
Now it's going to be time to check you've got Bridget in there. I know there are 3 in there, of course.
So they're playing enough. 3 Bridget really kind of becoming the standard for a lot of these decks. That being said, Peter has no Bridget in his deck. This is kind of his way of playing this Tapu Bulu Vikavolt deck. Is he decides, you know what, I don't actually want to play Bridget. I'm just going to play Heavy Balls and Nest Balls. That's how I'm going to set my board up. And I'm going to play a Draw Supporter on the first turn because I do need to also have pieces. I need Rare Candy, Vikavolt, and Energies if I want to go off on the second turn of the game.
Yeah, that's really important, is making sure you do secure some Grubbins on the bench. We will see one of those Grubbin trapped in the prizes, but he does run 4. He's able to get that. It's really important that he gets that set up early on.
Also trapped in the prizes with 2 Lightning Energy. Peter playing the 5, so 7 Grass and 5 Lightning Energy, but only has 3 available in the deck right now. Might come into play a little bit later as he starts to run thin on those Lightning Energies, and the strong charges might not be able to attach 2 energies from the deck, so we'll have to see how that develops. As Bob completes his Bridget, gets... Oh, he has an extra Zora in his hand, so he has 2 Zora, 2 Wimpod on the bench, and that's a pretty good turn one. You got to feel good if you're Bob.
Yeah, that's the full bench right there from Bob. A ton of stuff ready to evolve and go in the next turn. I think it's going to be important, actually, when you talk about Peter, to figure out whether the 2 Lightning are in the discard. Obviously, he's going to be able to go in his deck right now with the Ultra Ball, but at the same time, you've just got to make sure you count the energies, because when you go in for that 4th potential strong charge, it's going to be a bit of a bother if you can't get it there.
Right, yeah, you certainly don't want to be relying on getting 2 energies out of strong charge and then only being able to find the 1. So we're going to see that Peter is going to play Tapu Lele, Wonder Tag for Lily. This is his preferred turn 1 supporter instead of the Bridget. Like I said before, he wants to just play his item search cards to put down the Grubbins and the Tapu Bulus, and then play a draw supporter to get access to the Vikavolt Rare Candy and Energies. And it looks like he's definitely finding those combo pieces as he lilies for 6 to go up to 8 cards in total.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really nice. You keep a hold of a ton of resources. Every resource is pretty much playable quite early on. It's a very, I don't want to say linear deck, but it's like, once you've got your Vikavolt into play, then you know that they're just left there. That's all they need to do. 1, maybe even 2 if you're feeling a little bit aggressive, or one's kind of in danger of getting knocked out.
Right.
But in the same vein, it's like he has to be a little bit careful with his bench space here. These Zoroark Gliscopod decks do sometimes play the Parallel City. Could be a big card to try and slow Peter down.
Bob is playing 1 Parallel City, so I'm sure we will see that come down. Either side kind of detrimental for Tapu Bulu. The 3 bench side, certainly you don't have a lot of bench space, which is going to be a problem. But if you flip it around and play the red side against Tapu Bulu, suddenly now Nature's Judgment with the Choice Band only does 190 damage, which is not enough to knock out either of the Gliscopod or the Zoroark GX. And there is, first card off of this Cynthia for 6 from Bob is Parallel City. So we'll see which side he decides to play. as he starts the train trade, starts to trade away the Bridgets, looking for some energies to attack with.
Yeah, this is going to be a full kind of run through of these. We do see Bob neatly marking his trades with the turn of the Zoroark GX, making sure that he knows exactly which ones have been put into play.
Yeah, completes all of his drawing for the turn. There is no energy that he can use to attack for damage, so he's just going to go and look at the Parallel City. Considering which side to play, decides blue side towards Peter, so Peter's bench now set down to 3, only has 1 bench spot left. Bob is going to have to pass. Maybe he can attach an counter energy. He's just going to opt to pass it, untaps his Zoroarks, and we'll go back over to Peter. Let's see if Peter has got the Rare Candy and the Vikavolt. The Heavy Ball certainly indicates to me that he's got the combo.
Yeah, that's one of those nice consistent levels. Does discard the Rare Candy there for clarity. Nice heavy amount of Skylar. I think like 2 Skylar, more than most decks, but you know, it's always one of those options. Everything points towards turn 2 Vikavolt.
Yep.
That's exactly what it does.
If you get the turn 2 Vikavolt, this deck just immediately goes off as we see the strong charge attaching 2 energies to the Tapu Bulu to the active. He can opt into Nature's Judgment, which will just knock out this Tapu Koko. He can keep those energies in play, which means now I'm threatening a much higher damage Nature's Judgment on the following turn onto one of your attacking stage 1s. He might be able to have the pieces to Guzma. He's going to just play a Cynthia, so he's not even going to bother with that. Just attach the 2 energies up front, and then play Cynthia, draw some new cards. Now,
the big thing right here as well, though, is because of the Parallel City, he's only going to be limited to maybe charging up another Tapu Bulu.
Yep.
He's only going to have room for 1 more, and he's always limited to basically the 3 bench. So not the worst situation. I think for Peter could be worse if his damage was lowered.
Right.
At the same time, he just has to be careful what fills that last bench spot.
Yeah, if he puts a Bulu down there, though, the only out to Vikavolt that he has would be just the 1, and that could be susceptible to a Crossing Cut GX knockout, leaving him with no Vikavolt and no Grubbin on the bench. So Peter deciding he's going to fill that last spot with a second Grubbin just in case, and going to attach another Lightning Energy, actually, which means there's now only 1 Lightning Energy left in the deck.
Yeah, but at least he's managed to take the knockout without expending the energy on that Tapu Bulu.
Yep.
Tapu Koko taken down, and the first prize going over to Peter. Actually not going to be one of his lightning energies.
Right, yeah. Now back over to Bob. Bob, only real way to knock out this Tapu Bulu is with these Sudowoodo counter energy that I was saying. He would be able to copy that Nature's Judgment.
It's a bit tough. Sudowoodo's in the prizes.
Sudowoodo is in the prizes, that's right. He does have the counter energy in his deck, but Sudowoodo sitting in the prizes, you are correct. So this Tapu Bulu not getting knocked out this turn. The only other way that Bob can get there is with a Crossing Cut GX, but he's got no energies on board, so that's certainly not going to happen. He's just going to go with an N.
Yeah, and I think after Peter takes a prize, you just want to make sure it's not a prize that's going to really win him the next turn, force him down to a slightly smaller hand size, and limit what he can do. The big thing there was, he had to spend a number of resources just to get a Grubbin out. If you end him into the pieces for another Vikavolt, that does become a bit of a problem.
Yeah, and Peter doesn't have any draw power on the board right now. He does only play 1 Oranguru from Sun and Moon with that Instruct ability, so ends might stick to him a little harder here because he doesn't have the bench space in order to put that down. Bob, on the other side, plenty of draw power, does trade into double colorless energy, meaning he's going to be able to ride his beating for damage.
Ooh.
Actually considering maybe Psychic would be a good move here.
Yeah, I mean, we do see that these Tapu Bulu load up with energy, so why not?
Right, yeah. Psychic from this Mewtwo going to do 80 damage as Peter just goes to confirm. It's 20 plus 20 more for each energy on the opponent's active Pokemon. So 80 damage in total, and most importantly, is just a 1 prize Pokemon, and it maintains the trades on the bench safe for the next turn.
Yeah, that's really, really important there, that those are still available. Of course, could see the Guzma play, but that would then just be kind of limiting. Ooh.
Yeah, Field Blower removes the only Parallel City that Bob plays. I won't be seeing that come back down unless he does the Puzzle of Time for it. So Peter going to play the Cynthia, draw some more cards, going to want to find another Tapu Bulu this turn and activate that Strong Charge to get more energies flowing. If he doesn't have access to Tapu Bulu, then he might have to just use his GX attack this turn, clear that damage off, knocking out the Mewtwo at the same time, and going down to an even prize number, which is much easier to handle.
Yeah, it's actually kind of an awkward time. You don't want to be greedy when you use the Tapu Balls in this GX. You don't want to try and use it when you're completely maxed on damage, but it also feels a little bit annoying to expend it just to take the knockout on this one prize attacker.
Yeah, so we see Peter
definitely
here.
Worth it, though.
Peter also just covering all of his bases, gets that Ultra Ball, does find the Bulu, and is going to strong charge to the benched Tapu Bulu GX as well. Peter going to have a lot of energies in play. Bob, he does have a lot of good Stage 1 Pokemon, but hasn't put on much pressure yet to Peter. As he just goes with the GX attack, clears off his damage, knocks out the Mewtwo. Unfortunately for Peter, does not draw one of those 2 lightning in the prizes, but the good thing is he's now on even prize. He just has to take 2 more knockouts.
Yeah, and now it's everything on the bench is going to be a GX as well,
Right.
so he's no way forced into playing this kind of strange game of trying to knock things out.
Yeah, so Peter just needs to, for Peter's side, he needs to find choice bands now. Choice bands so that the Nature's Judgment is going to do 210 damage in total. That is how he's going to be looking to close the game out. On Bob's side, he just needs to draw some energies and start putting on some pressure, and it doesn't really look like it's going to be easy for him to do. He can't knock out the Vikavolt, so, I mean, how do you stop all these energies and Bulus from coming at you and just knocking out all your stuff turn after turn?
I mean, you really don't. We've seen that Tapu Bulu has been consistently powered up. Even though the next strong charge isn't going to be able to grab a lightning energy because there's actually all 3 in play already,
Right.
he is going to be limited to basically just adding that grass energy. Like you say, all he needs is the choice bands. That's all he's going to be looking for in this one.
Bob, using both of his trades here, does have double colorless energy, so once again can ride his beating. It will do 150 damage, which is 30 short of the knockout. Now, Tapu Bulu will not be able to use its GX attack to heal again, but if he has the choice band, Peter just slaps it on the active and says, it's fine that you're going to knock out this Bulu. I'm going to go down to 2 prizes, and I'll just be able to knock you out on the following turn with the second Bulu that I have set up.
Yeah, assuming he can find 2 choice bands. That's
Right.
the big thing for him here, is he just needs the choice bands.
Yeah, choice bands or Guzma also are fine. You don't need choice band to knock out that Tapu Lele on the bench. Also has a Rangaroo, which means it's going to be a little bit harder to end him down to a low hand size. And has a Professor Sycamore. So he's going to be drawing 7 cards here. Let's see if one of those is choice band. Rare Candy's second Vikavolt seems a little unnecessary at this point. I mean, you
Right.
certainly play it down because you have it, but don't really need that second strong charge right now. Let's see, I don't see choice band
Looks
yet.
like he's fallen short on that one.
If he doesn't have it, he can try to burn his hand down to a lower size and try to instruct into it. But I don't see that
That's an
happening.
aggressive play to go through your full hand just so you can instruct for 1, maybe 2.
It looks like it's going to be Nature's Judgment for 120 out of Peter. Back over to Bob. A sigh of relief as he does top deck Max Potion. That could be a good card to play.
Oh, he's looking at it.
Could remove that turn altogether. Might not end up mattering if Peter has Choice Band on the following turn anyway. But hey, if you have double colorless and Max Potion, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he can puzzle the time it back later if he needs it, so all will be well.
And there is the end. Peter will go down to 4 and has no more lightning energies in the deck, so strong charge not nearly as powerful. Orangaroo, I mean, yeah, it's okay and insurance, but I still think Peter is in a dominant position here. He's got the board set up in the exact state that he wants it to be. And even though he didn't have Choice Band last turn, he's still very much ahead in this game.
Yeah, he's still in a great position to see out the rest of this game. He's got another Tapu Bulu ready to go. All he needs to do is, if this one gets knocked out, just make sure he can find the third one and get that powered up nice and promptly.
Right, so Bob's hand does have a lot of options available. There's double Puzzle of Time, a Mallow for the next turn, also an End, some energies. He's got plenty of options available for his next turn, as he has access now to a third trade as he smacks down another Zoroark GX. But we'll just have to see if Peter has access to that Choice Band.
Yep, he's going to pick up the prizes, not the Sudowoodo that he may want to swing this game really quickly. He needs to take my prize strategy. I always take the middle 2, then the top 2, then the bottom 2.
Ah, see, an orthodox order, always taking the middle 2 first, getting the most important prizes out of the way, right?
Yeah, the good stuff's always in the middle, like grubbing lightning energy for Peter.
Yes.
He does have access to the third Tapu Bulu. Also has energy recycler, so able to put back all the energy that he lost right away into the deck, including a lightning energy.
Right,
which is
exactly.
important.
Prizing those 2 lightning energy not actually mattering here because, well, Energy Recycler takes care of that. And the Skyla, most importantly, binding that Choice Band means the Zoroark GX gets knocked out. Peter will go down to 2 prizes to Bob's 4. And Bob really just, without access to that Sudowoodo, can't respond in time to this Tapu Bulu because he has no energies on his Glycopods. He can't use Crossing Cut for a knockout.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy strategy. Not easy, but all he needs to do is get rid of one of these Zoroarks, and then the Guzma that we've not actually seen played yet, just to pick up that Tapu Lele. He doesn't need a choice band for it. Can just skittle it out.
Right, yeah, so definitely the path to victory cleared for Peter. Bob going to do what he can to impede that progress, has Field Blower to remove one of Peter's choice bands. Peter does play the full set of 4 because the metagame is flooded with these 210 HP Pokemon. The choice band is certainly a critical card. Bob has an N.
Another one. He's been caught, was trying to catch Peter with at least 2 or 3 of them now.
Yeah.
But in both instances, he's just managed to find what he needs. Now he's only going down to 2, but at least he has a little bit of an insurance policy in Instruct.
Right, we'll see if that Oranguru helps Peter find either Guzma or a choice band in order to close the game out. We'll see if he doesn't miss it. Right, maybe he just draws both. We'll see if Bob is able to, if Peter does not, if Bob is able to put on enough pressure to actually swing this game back into his favor. He's got plenty of trades still, has access to double puzzle again, trades away another Field Blower because it doesn't matter anymore. If Peter has choice band, he wins, and trades into more puzzles, double puzzle of time. Let's see what Bob decides to go and grab here.
Ooh, he's going for the final Zoroark play. He's just going to keep those kind of streaming, I think.
Yeah, try it.
Now he's seen the other Zoroark in his hand, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, keep up the draw power for himself. Maybe pull up a double colorless energy. That's what it looks like he's eyeing here. He's going to put those in his hand. Could play down the Zorua, and that DCE is going to have to stay for the next turn.
There it is. There's the Palpad.
Palpad.
Putting those supporters back in, so that definitely helps with the way that he's been trading and using supporters. We shouldn't even trade away a Guzma if he needs one of those. That would be a great time to put it in, but considering the disruption it causes right now, 2 Ns going back in the deck.
Right, I was just about to say, I was surprised that Bob did not double puzzle for an N, because that's certainly going to be a critical resource for him, but Palpad will take care of that for him.
Yeah, I mean, considering how thin his deck is right now as well, the chances of him finding it off his trades, yeah, pretty reliable.
Right, yeah, Palpad, a card that we don't see a lot of players playing right now, shuffles 2 supporters from the discard pile into the deck, but Bob deciding, you know what? Putting in 2 Guzmas or 2 Ns, pretty good. Peter goes in with Strong Charge now, going to put all of his energies onto the active. He's playing pretty quick. He must have an out to choice band. And there it is in his hand. Yeah. It's going to be a knockout. And that is going to be the handshake for game 1. Peter's going to go up 1-0. And I would say that was a pretty clear demonstration of the matchup. And Peter is certainly favored.
Yeah, I mean, Peter really showing off exactly how his list works. The list is colloquially named after him.
Right.
So he's been able to really maximize it, optimize it, and play it to its full potential.
Yeah, Kickaboo really going off that game. No Bridget, something that surprised a lot of people. You know, you think, oh, you want to Bridget for Tapu Bulu and Grubbins. You want to get those on the board, right? Peter's saying, no, if you just play some item-based search, those Nest Balls and the Heavy Balls, Nest Ball for Grubbin, Heavy Ball for the Tapu Bulu on turn 1, then suddenly I can just play Lily and I can draw my energies, I can draw Rare Candy, I don't even need to rely on Skyla, and he keeps a healthier hand size.
Yeah.
There's these other versions of Tapu Bulu, Vikavolt, that rely on that Skyla engine. You'll have a really small hand after you might get that turn 2 Vikavolt. You might have, Skyla for Rare Candy or Heavy Ball to get that combo, but then you have a very small hand size and you might not have a follow-up to that turn 2 play. This version of the deck, much larger hand size, can follow it up with another supporter and kind of keep the train rolling through the mid-game.
Yeah, I think it's nice to always have the items you need in hand. The only risk I see with it is sometimes you end up with all your energy in your hand and you can't strong charge from the hand, unfortunately. But looking at the numbers, that optimized 7 and 5 between Grass and Lightning, respectively, seems to be the premium choice. Yeah,
and when you just have those 4 choice bands, it's super easy. If you have a Vikavolt on the board, so easy for Tapu Bulu to just pick up knockouts on Zoroark and not be responded to immediately. It's kind of hard for Zoroark. Zoroark can't hit 150. We're in standard. He caps at 150 with choice band. Or he can't hit 180, I'm sorry. He caps at 150 with choice band. And we're going to go back into the game. Both players are mulliganing. So this Bulu is just, it's really hard to knock out. And maybe we'll see Bob find that Sudowoodo this game with that counter energy and try and generate some tempo with that swing using Watch and Learn, copy the Nature's Judgment, and try to put Peter back on the back foot for a little bit as Bob tries to generate some energies onto his Glycopods.
Yeah, I think this Sudowoodo play is going to be really, really important. But we saw kind of, I don't want to say a Sudowoodo play, but something like that, putting up the 1 prize attacker in the Mewtwo, just kind of got taken out really cleanly. Wasn't a problem.
I I see Bob's opening hand there looked pretty weak. I don't think I saw a good supporter in his hand. He just has the one basic, and I think it was double Puzzle of Time. Certainly not strong on the first turn of the game. Let's see what his top deck is. Maybe it's an Ultra Ball there, so he might be okay. And top deck's Bridget.
Doesn't matter at that point, does it?
Yeah,
He's got 2 Guzma in hand. Just going to play that Bridget fresh off the top.
And there we go. Go get some Zoroas, go get some Wimpods. It'll probably be 2 Wimpods and a Zoroa.
Yep, he's already got 1 Zorua in the active, so nice 50-50 split there.
Yeah.
Then can start powering them up. The one thing he is kind of lacking is an obvious way to get to his energy next turn.
Right.
Or even this turn.
Yeah, without any energy attachment, you kind of want to have an energy on your Golisopod so that you can pull up with a Guzma, you can play Guzma on the Vikavolt, and use that Crossing Cut GX attack, knock out that Vikavolt. And if Peter doesn't have a Grubbin, or at the very least another Rare Candy Vikavolt, then you can really kind of stop this Tapu Bulu deck in its tracks, and it doesn't really do anything without that strong charge.
Yeah, this Grubbin is going to be one of in the prizes, along with one of the Tapu Bulu, and both the Skylar in there as well. So as you were saying, those cards put there for consistency, the ability to just go and grab what you need when you need it, to fill in a puzzle as such. You need a Rare Candy, you need a Vikavolt. Okay, well I've got the Rare Candy, I can grab a Heavy Ball, I can grab Vikavolt, and we can go. Both of those gone means the consistency may be a little bit harder to maintain in the middle of the game.
Right. Peter also did start Tapu Lele, so it might be difficult for him to generate a decent setup here. He does top deck Professor Sycamore, so it's not a totally dead hand. Does also have the Ultra Ball, which means he can either get the Tapu Lele if he would prefer a Shuffle Draw supporter, or the Lily. He can also just go get either Grubbin or Tapu Bulu. Start just filling the bench out a little bit before he plays a draw supporter.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the options here right now. The exact same play as he made in the first turn last game. He actually Ultra Balls for a Grubbin. Usually when we see Ultra Balls, we see a much more glamorous Pokemon come out the other side. And not usually the smaller health
small little Grubbin, but you need the Grubbin on the board turn 1 if you want to have a good turn 2 with this deck. So
yeah, I mean, turn 2 Vikavolt are the keys to the kingdom in this one. It's really the only way to get this deck rolling. I will say that Peter probably doesn't want to leave that Tapu Lele in the active for too long. Probably not the ideal location for it.
Yeah, certainly not, but I don't think he's really going to have an option, at least for this turn. It's going to have to soak a hit. That's a pretty good hand off of the Cynthia, another Grubbin.
And the Grass Energy.
And also a Bulu, so now Bob can't play like a Guzma and knock out the lone Grubbin on the board, so Peter has some insurance there. The question is, does he have the follow-up the next turn with it?
Bob in these top decks, he's just pulled the Cynthia off as well. Just after kind of struggling with it.
So now he can Ultra Ball to grab a Zoroark out of his deck, put that down, play the Cynthia, and then start trading and really building up a big board of Stage 1 Pokemon. Looking through his deck here, I'm going to check on those prizes real quick and consider, do I want to maybe grab a Golisopod here? I don't really know. Certainly, I think Zoroark is correct. You want to have access to trade.
Well, then you can just go grab anything you want with trade.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to shuffle up here. We certainly should see the Cynthia come down. If it weren't for the fact that that second Grubbin hit the play, I would imagine maybe Guzma, knock out that lone Grubbin would have been correct. But now that there's 2 down, Bob's just going to say, you know what? I'll play it conservative. Let's get a draw supporter. He might also not have an energy in his hand, so that Guzma would have been an option anyway.
Yeah, he needs to make sure he can actually get an attack off in this turn.
Yeah.
But at least he's going to be able to start trading. Has the option to look at it before he even does anything. Trading away one of the Puzzle of Time.
Puzzle of Time. Ooh, 2 cards not really useful. Choice Band maybe.
Mulling it over. Might save it for later.
He's going to put it onto a Wimpod. That's okay, because now that Golisopod, that GX attack, Crossing Cut GX, will do 180 damage now, which will knock out Tapu Bulu. Also does knock out Lele's, so that's a good Choice Band attachment.
Yeah, I think that's smarter than just bringing it up to the 150 where you're never going to make those numbers.
Right.
I think Golisopod benefiting from the Choice Band a lot more than Zoroark.
Yeah, the only way that Choice Band really helps the right is beating math is if Bob were to use Flying Flip a couple of times, and certainly not in a situation right now to be applying Flying Flip pressure. So putting it down on the Golisopod definitely seems correct. Going to draw a lot of outs to evolving his basics. He's going to be able to play down another Golisopod as well as the Zoroark that he drew from his hand. So Bob getting all of his Stage 1s down, but we need to see him find an energy card if he wants to actually well, do damage, or really anything at this point.
Yeah, I mean, dealing damage is pretty important. He does have a float stone, so he can get the Zoroark out of the active and get like a Lysopod in if he would like.
Yep.
That would also remove the one energy attachment that Peter managed to make in turn 1. So really can go on the offensive here. Just needs to be careful. He will fall short on the Tapu Lele right now because he does need 2 attachments.
All right, so here we go. It's going to be trade, discards a Bridget, see if we get energy here.
Classic.
Is no energy. Means Bob's turn is going to be a pass back over to Peter. Gives him a little breathing room to set up this Vikavolt.
So it's weird we've not seen any energy. There's actually none in the prizes either.
Yeah.
And he does play, of course, a pretty standard line, 4 double colorless, 3 grass, and the counter energy. Not seen any of them. A big play there though from Peter to actually get rid of that choice band.
Right, yeah, plays down the field blower before going with the Professor Sycamore.
I see one part of the puzzle.
I think these both just naturally in that hand. Rare Candy, Vikavolt. All he needs now is Choice Band. He did discard one earlier with his Ultra Ball in the first turn of the game. If he does have a second Choice Band though, if he has it in his hand, he could attach the grass from his hand, strong charge, retreat, and that would be Nature's Judgment for 210, knocking out a Zoroark, and that's just exactly what you want to see this deck be doing.
Yep, it's going to be strong charge and the collection of a Oranguru here for Peter, making sure he's got options to try and refill that hand neatly.
Yeah, I mean, this Instruct, he can try the Instruct. Right now, he's got 2 cards in hand. He will be netting 1 with Instruct. He could just rip Choice Band off the top of the deck. We'll see what he's planning on doing here. He actually should probably get a second card because he does have grass in his hand, and there he does attach that. Let's see what these 2 cards are. It doesn't look like Choice Band. He can retreat and hit for 120. That's also fine. It's not as explosive of a turn, but it is certainly something. It's at least not the pass that Bob had to do on his second turn.
Right. The big thing here is Bob is now forced. Does get the Tapu Lele off the top.
Goes straight for Guzma.
Imagine feeling pretty good about, hey, I didn't find energy last turn with 2 trades. I got another 4 cards to look at. I've got to get an energy off one of them.
Yeah, the question then becomes, though, what is the Guzma target? There's nothing that's particularly juicy on Peter's board. You can't knock out that Vikavolt right now. I don't really know what it is that he would want to Guzma, but he's deciding to do it. Still no energies, has 1 more trade. We'll see if he can find a double colorless or even a grass at this point. Gonna discard N, and there's a grass energy, so he can use First Impression this turn. Maybe he wants to knock out the Oranguru?
No.
He just wants Vikavolt in the active. He's gonna soften it up and say, Peter, you gotta have Float Stone or Guzma. Otherwise, this Vikavolt is going down.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a pretty smart play here because that's the only one that's strong charging. The other Grubbin is not set up yet. But, the Float Stone count in this deck, actually, as we look, non-existent.
Oh yeah, Peter actually is not playing any Float Stone. The only way he can move that Vikavolt is 3 Guzma. And if he doesn't have it in his hand, he might have to just... Yeah, he doesn't have it. He's going to have to play Cynthia, which means no attack coming out of Peter this turn. And Bob making a really clever play here. Even though he's not knocking out the Vikavolt in one shot, kind of just sticking Peter in a hard situation.
What he could do, it's a stretch, but bear with me. Off the Cynthia, he pulls Rare Candy and another Vikavolt. Rare Candy's into it. Double strong charges to the active. Manually retrieves.
Oh, there you go.
And then off the Cynthia, he also has Choice Band and Energy Recycler.
Yeah.
So he just Energy Recycles it back in and continues to play as he
That's right,
wants.
yeah. Manually retrieving the Vikavolt, certainly an option, but you really would rather be discarding 3 energies with Nature's
I'm not going to give it the benefit of an option. I'm just saying, when you don't have a Guzma, you got to do what you got to do.
That's right. It's going to be a pass. And Peter also did not draw a Tapu Bulu, so he could not activate Strong Charge to that Bulu, meaning he's only going to have 1 set up right now as Bob goes back into his turn, starts using Trade. Even if this Glycopod cannot move from the active spot, First Impression only doing 30 damage is enough to knock out the Vikavolt anyway, so he's more than happy to just stay in the active and knock it out.
Yep, going to stop those strong charges coming down. Big play on the Ace Roller, actually, putting that Zoroark back in the hand.
Yeah, removing the 120 from the previous Nature's Judgment. Again, the healing only matters if Peter does not have Choice Band, but it did matter in the first game at least a little bit because he didn't have Choice Band immediately. Vikavolt does get knocked out. Peter without any energy acceleration now. I know he does have the Vikavolt in his hand, so he might have an out for another Rare Candy to kind of keep this flowing. Has a second Grubbin, that's useful.
Yep.
I think it's just N and Sycamore in his hand.
Oh, there's the choice band.
Oh, well, there's something to point out, though, is Bob used Armor Press the previous turn. We can only assume that that's what he did.
Yeah, I mean, getting the choice band
attack.
is great, but the fact it's still going to fall short is just so frustrating.
You do 190 damages off to that Golisopod, which then if Bob can follow it up with Acerola, remove all of that damage altogether, certainly difficult for Peter to handle.
Well, that actually gives a couple of outs to Bob here. If he can Acerola the damage up, great. He can promote something off the bench and go with that.
Yep.
Or in the same vein, you know, if he's still around, he could still go get the choice band, crossing cut GX.
That's right.
And just take it out.
That would be an incredibly powerful play out of Bob. See, it's going to be Nature's Judgment. Not discarding the energy is going to be 130 in total. See, Bob's hand has a Guzma, so could consider that as an option. I think I agree with you, though. If he can find a choice band this turn and go with the crossing cut, that puts him in a great position this game.
Yeah, I mean, then you've got rid of the one powered up Tapu Bulu, the choice band's gone as well.
Yep.
And there's actually nothing on the bench you're scared of in the slightest.
Right, yeah. So he's going to go with his first trade, his only trade that he has on the board right now. Really looking for that choice band.
Well, that was the joy of that play that Peter made. I don't think he took the time to appreciate it, but after he ace-rolled, didn't let him have that Zoroark again.
Right, that's true. Choice band off of the trade. Oh, that's it. Devastating for Peter. Also has an N, going to give Bob 5 new cards. Peter still at 6 prizes, so certainly not as impactful as one of those late game ends that we have seen plenty of times this weekend. But most importantly, the GX attack is going to come through, and Peter doesn't look like he's going to have much of a response.
No, I mean, you've only been able to set up one Tapu Bulu, and that's something that's, I don't want to say harder, but if you have Bridget, you know, you can get one grub in naturally, then you can grab the 2 Bulus, and that's kind of the gamble you play, is you just naturally are going to find your heavy balls, and you're going to find those Bulu through kind of normal means.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult for Peter to also knock out the Golisopod because the crossing cut would swing it to the bench. They're talking about the energy attachment. Bob did attach to that DCE the previous turn because he did use the armor press. And so here it is, a knockout, and it goes to the bench. It becomes very difficult. Peter has to have an energy and a Guzma to take that knockout. Otherwise, Bob is going to be able to Acerola that up whenever he wants to, and that gives him extra energy, that gives him another choice band available to him, and most importantly, removes a significant amount of damage.
I honestly think that play wins in the game.
Yeah.
Not being able to respond with a Tapu Bulu immediately is one of the biggest downfalls of something like this Tapu Bulu deck. You need the Tapu Bulu to be consistently going.
Right.
That's where I think something like when you play it with obviously the Thickable, like you're able to just keep that energy going. Mm-hmm. You always need to have Tapu Bulu there.
Yeah. It does look like he's got all of the pieces necessary. He's able to put together a rare candy Vikavolt for Strong Charge, has the Guzma, and has the energies through the Strong Charge, so he is going to be able to knock out the Golisopod.
Aggro Lele.
Aggro Lele. The problem then becomes, though, he still doesn't have a Bulu with any energies attached. I'm not sure if Bob is going to be able to knock out this Lele immediately, so those energies will be able to stick on the board for a little bit, but this is certainly not the ideal course of action that Peter would like to be taking here.
No, I mean, you don't ever want to be attacking the aggro Tapu Bulu. Aggro Tapu Lele, rather. Tapu Bulu is your aggressor in this deck.
Yes.
And, right now, I mean, we do see him discard off. He uses Field Blower to get another one off the Instruct.
Right, yeah, he doesn't necessarily need the Field Blower, not particularly useful. Whatever card off of Instruct, certainly better. Attaches a third energy to Lele and saying, hey, he's showing his whole hand here. I'm going to go at you with this Lele, and if you can't respond, I'm going to start dealing some pretty big damage soon.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing here is Bob's got only the one kind of fully evolved Pokemon on the bench with that Zoroark. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like it's going to be a problem with the Mallow play coming out.
Yeah, gonna go get any 2 cards out of his deck. I was about to ask what you think that might be, but double puzzle in order to access the discard pile, also very valid. So going to be able to get any 2 cards he wants out of the discard pile that he's seen before. I still don't think there's any way that he can knock out this Tapu Lele this turn, though.
No, I mean, I think he's going to struggle a little bit, but he'll be able to kind of fill up his bench to close it out, and I think that'll be important for him.
Yeah, Bob got to try and plan out where those 3 prizes that he has remaining, where are those going to come from? Is he going to have to use some Flying Flip in order to set up those knockouts, maybe make it a little bit easier for him? Or how does he get there? So we're going to see how he does it as he trades one of his 3 golden Ultra Balls in his hand.
Oh, look, it's double puzzle. What a shock.
Double puzzle. Looky there. He's going to go get any 2 cards. Let's go see. Looks like he wants the Golisopod and maybe a Grass Energy. He looks to be running rather low.
Oh, he's taking the other Puzzle of Time to make a potential double puzzle play, but he doesn't know that the fourth puzzle is in his prizes.
Right, so by pulling that puzzle, what that means is once he does get access to that fourth puzzle, he can use it one more time. If he doesn't pull that puzzle, then suddenly that fourth puzzle, wherever it may be, is a dead card. It doesn't really do anything for you. Sure, you can play one, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, but it doesn't really do too much. Certainly not the reason why you are playing the Puzzle of Time. He's going to set up another Zoroark GX as well, which means, hey, Bob's going to be continuing to draw cards, but needs to start moving towards closing this game out if he wants to have a shot at also winning Game 3. He trades a Field Blower into the discard pile.
The Zoroark trading card game, my favorite.
Draws another Wimpod, can bench that. Seems like a fine move. Now considering what the attack is going to be, and it will be first impression. That's 130 damage, or 120, sorry, onto the Lele. Leaving it with 50 left. Pretty easy to pick up that knockout with. Pretty much whatever attacker Bob would like to use.
I mean, literally every attacker that Bob has right now does a pretty consistent 120 damage.
Right, yeah.
That's kind of the green 120 or the black 120. So which one do you want? If you can get more value out of the green 120, then go for it.
Absolutely.
But if not, I mean, the black 120 is pretty good too.
Yeah, if he has access to Choice Band and double colors, he can also just use Flying Flip. Flying Flip would be enough to knock out the active Lele and then also put some damage on all of the bench Pokemon on Kica's side. We'll see if that actually ends up happening because a Tapu Bulu is coming down. And I can only imagine that this is going to be retreated into, and it is going to be swinging for, if he has a Choice Band, actually a knockout.
Yeah, party time for Tapu Bulu right now. Finally makes his way out of the deck. It's going to be potentially falling a little bit short. We don't see the addition of the Choice Band.
Yep.
And the regular damage just put down there for just 120, keeping that energy in play. So important because, hey, the energy needs to be remaining in play. You don't have reliable other places to put it.
Right, yeah. Now Bob gets sitting here drawing with his trade, does not have an option for knocking out this Bulu, and I think at this point it might be correct to bypass this Bulu altogether. Try and just find the Guzma plays in order to pick up your last prizes, and don't just sink an attack into this Bulu because then you'll still need to attack twice more.
Yeah.
That being said, Bob just doesn't have out to Guzma right now. Gonna go ahead and just use the Right is Beating for 120. Back over to Kica. Has another shot for trying to draw Choice Band and just knock out the active Pokemon straight up.
Right, it doesn't look like he's got it there. He's going to start strong charging. Kind of another opportunity to look in the deck as well.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's not prized, so it just needs a reliable way to draw into it. Maybe looking at what's in there, feeling if he could maybe play his hand down and hit an Instruct. Would it be good enough? Would he be really gambling on it?
Yeah, it might be exactly what it is that Kica needs to do. Is he plays the heavy ball just to get it out of his hands. Certainly doesn't want anything from the deck. Choice Band here puts him back into a pretty comfortable position considering Bob did not take any prizes the last 2 turns. Let's see if he's able to get there as he attaches a 5th energy to his Tapu Lele and has a Field Blower to thin his hand out even more. Instruct for 2. Let's see. Energy. It looks like a Vikavolt.
It's a Vikavolt. I think there was a rare candy behind it potentially. I'm not sure.
It might have been a golden rare candy. That could have been it. He's opting not to play it though. Just goes with Tapu Wilderness. This is why doing 120 to that Tapu Bulu really doesn't do anything for you. You don't want to sink that damage in there if you can help it because it ends up not mattering at all.
Yeah, I mean the big thing here is looking at the energy available. Right now for Bob, everything is going to be doing 120 damage, no more, no less. You haven't got access to Crossing Cut and Armor Press. Hey, you're only going to be doing 100. Yeah, you get the reduction, but you're still only doing 100.
Right, you're not knocking out the Bulu in 1 hit. The only option that he has at this point of knocking out the Bulu in 1 hit is the Zoroark counter, or the Sudowoodo counter energy play, but he's still ahead on prizes, so that's not going to be an option. Just going to go with the retreat. Another Right is Beating. Still no Guzma from Bob. Peter, Rare Candy, Vikavolt. This Lele getting pretty large here. You might continue to contribute energies to it and say, even if you're able to knock out this Bulu, I'll just promote Lele and do 1 billion damage to
Yeah,
you.
I mean, I think the way Peter's playing, he's going for it. Dear Lord.
6 energies currently on that Lele. Fails the strong charge, signaling I'm running out of energies. Might need to play an energy recycler at some point.
I mean, really this turn, if you're Peter, you want to find the Guzma. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, Choice Band is also very good.
Choice Band will do it.
Yeah, now this Nature's Judgment. Going to knock out Zoroark. Peter will go down to 2 prizes. That Lele is certainly threatening a lot of damage here. Bob, now that he's down on prizes, the Sudowoodo counter energy is live. He could opt to go for that here, which would be very critical because he needs 2 knockouts, and Sudowoodo is only worth 1 prize, meaning Peter would then need a Guzma if he wants to try and close this game.
I think
out.
Peter's game comes down to one thing right now. If he can Guzma up one of these damaged Pokemon on the bench and hit it with, I don't know, this huge Tapu Lele on the bench, then he'd be in a really good position to, tidy it up. The big question, though, is can he find the Guzma?
Right.
And his hand's pretty low, his deck's pretty thin as well. I mean, you see him strong charging just to make sure there's no energy in there. And then he's able to kind of just try and round it out. The end play is going to come through, though, of both players with teeny tiny decks right now.
Yeah, there's something interesting that I want to point out. Bob had Parallel City in his hand. If he had wanted to, he could have played the 3 bench side against himself, removing both of his damaged Stage 1 Pokemon. Could have been an out in order to protect himself from Guzma just winning the game outright for Peter. We'll see if he can draw it again. And a counter energy. He can counter energy the Sudowoodo and then play the Parallel City, guaranteeing that he has an attacker for the turn and removing Peter's out for game.
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good end for him there.
Looks like they're going to consult with the judge to see if Bob had actually used a trade this turn. Can't actually remember. He had been tapping the Zoroark, and Peter had been keeping track with the die. Looks to be not the case. He's going to trade away that Parallel City. If Peter has access to Guzma, this game is now over.
Right.
Counter energy goes down. This Sudowoodo will be using Watch and Learn for the knockout here. Going to copy that Nature's Judgment attack for 120. Peter promotes Lele. What is in his hand right now?
Does he have access to it?
An Ultra Ball. He can thin his whole hand down. There is a Guzma still in there. Goes
Lele.
Lele for the Guzma, and just pulls up any of the Pokemon and can win the game.
Yep.
There it is. Pulls up the Golisopod, says Energy Drive, game is over. That is quite a way to close the game out with a huge Tapu Lele.
Yeah, that was 6-7 energy on that Tapu Lele.
Yeah, it was at least 6 energies.
More than enough.
More than enough to get that knockout. When you start softening up those Pokemon with, ideally you're doing 210, but if you're softening them up with just, let's do 150 here with Tapu Wilderness, maybe just 120 with regular Nature's Judgment. You can leave those plays available to yourself. And Peter really playing to his outs. He's out of Tapu Bulus, but Tapu Lele can really put in some work if you just commit a bunch of energies to it.
Yeah, I mean, one Tapu Bulu went down a little bit early. Another one just sat there in the middle of the game and did all it needed to do. And while the other one was prized for a large duration of the game, hey, you're actually able to work around that pretty smartly, I think, with the big Tapu Lele play.
Yeah.
Even though it was weakened, as soon as it came down to the end, there was maybe 8-9 cards in the deck there. He was going to be able to find a Guzma. Yeah. There was no real doubt about it in my mind.
It's incredible to watch this Tapu Bulu Vicable deck really kind of function. In the first game, it just demonstrated how aggressive it can be if it hits the correct cards and just apply way too much pressure that not a lot of decks in Standard can really handle. And then in the second game, kind of ends up on the back foot, but in the end, really can kind of demonstrate all the options that are available to him. We're going to take just a slight break here. We're going to have an interview with our victor, Peter Kica, in just a moment. Stay tuned, guys.